Hello everyone, so today I'll be talking about JFK and the event of his assassination and why it is important, and the purpose of this is to inform how the JFK assassination changed the world. And just so y'all know, JFK's assassination was a tragedy. However, it changed the world in ways that would only have happened through his death, meaning if he wouldn't have died, things would have changed a lot differently. Okay, so the USA was changed in ways such as that the world would not have been what it was today if the JFK assassination had not occurred. The assassination of John F. Kennedy changed the world by enabling the Civil Rights Act, speeding up space exploration, and increased hostility with the Soviets in the Cold War. So the ways that this event changed the world are all interesting in their own way. So to begin with, Kennedy's assassination enabled the Civil Rights Act due to his wanting to pass the act before his death. So that means that he wanted to pass the Civil Rights Act, but then unfortunately he died before he could do so. And the JFK Library states that after JFK's death, the Civil Rights Act was left in the hands of Lyndon B. Johnson, who used tactics to get the act passed. Johnson was able to do this by using the outpour of emotion after JFK's death and used the tactic of saying that it was in the way of honoring JFK. And that's what would help pass the Civil Rights Act. The Miller Center, who specializes in presidential scholarship, public policy, and political history, says that President Johnson announced his intention to continue to pursue the passage of civil rights legislation as a tribute to President Kennedy. And the influence behind honoring Kennedy by passing the act was so strong and such a good persuasive tactic that was strong enough to get the Civil Rights Act passed faster. Secondly, space exploration was drastically sped up due to the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and History.com, which is a huge organization, states that JFK made a speech before Congress on May 25th expressing the need for a space program and urging Congress for financial resources to speed up space exploration. Kennedy's vision became a reality 6 years after his assassination, and History.com also states that in 1961, President John F. Kennedy announces to Congress his goal of sending an American to the moon by the end of the decade, and asks for financial support of an accelerated space program. And fair enough, in 1969, the U.S. made it to the moon. So by the end of the decade, the U.S. made it to the moon, even though JFK was already gone. And JFK stated that he wanted to be done by the end of the decade. And so this means that it was done within that time that he wanted, and was obviously sped up in honor of the vision of John F. Kennedy. And also, lastly, the death of Kennedy increased tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Huffington Post says that Nikita Khrushchev, which was like a Soviet official during the Cold War, Khrushchev developed a respect for Kennedy as a man he could trust and deal with. Khrushchev was a Soviet statesman who led the Soviet Union during part of the Cold War as first secretary of the Communist Party. This means that the murder of Kennedy caused Soviets to return to an aggressive hard line against America, and it continued their mistrust of American administrations under Presidents Nixon, Ford, and Carter. USA Today backs up my main point in one of their articles, saying that due to Kennedy's assassination, the Soviet leaders feared that some irresponsible general would take over and might launch a missile at the Soviet Union. And a document from December 1st, 1966 said that the assassination flashed to the Soviet people, and church bells in Russia were tolled in the memory of President Kennedy. It is certain that the assassination of John F. Kennedy did not only change the Civil War, it also enabled the Civil Rights Act and sped up space exploration in the USA. Perhaps, after hearing all of this, now you can see why the assassination of John F. Kennedy was such an important event in our history, and why it is still heavily known of today and talked about even 40 to 50 years after the occurrence, and it will continue to be a very famous event for a long time, and will always be down in history as one of the most important events of all time.